Um, Welcome to Foys on Facebook. I'm Gina.
I'm Jerry.
Thanks for tuning in with us today. I'm just gonna say this up front. If we lose our signal, we're having a bad storm right now. So if we lose you, we'll be back momentarily.
As soon as we can.
Yeah. Today's show, we're gonna talk about weight gain, treats and rewards for your pigeons, and the benefits of anise oil and elderberry juice. And questions on anything that you want to ask us, we will be happy to answer them on the air. Just send them in and we'll answer them.
Well, people might notice that I've got my hat back. I haven't wore a hat in the last few shows, but I didn't bring a comb with me. So my hair was a little bit of a mess, and so I straightened that out real quick.
You took a nap, so he had to.
Yeah, first time I ever did that. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I went over to the restaurant next door and took some customers for lunch, and then I had to go back. And I must admit, I had a beer, and it made me sleepy.
And guess what you forgot when you went back?
Your lunch.
My lunch. Came back empty-handed. I was like, wait, did he really forget my lunch? He did. And then he took a nap.
I had a very, very interesting visit and lunch with two gentlemen from the Lancaster area, and they were Mennonites, and I just learned so much from them. They didn't seem to mind me asking questions, so I learned a lot about them. And, the Mennonites, we always kind of think of them as sort of like the Amish people, but they really are different, more modern, I guess, but still try to follow the tenets of the Bible. So it was really, really nice talking to them. And I was kind of surprised they had a camera. Amish people don't take pictures of themselves, and they also had a cell phone, which just kind of they're more modern than what the Amish are. But, they must have spent 2 hours here. They just,
At least.
yeah. They were delivering. A gentleman called me. I buy white pigeons when I'm really low, and he was one of my breeders, and he was going to send me 80 birds, 8 white ones, racing homers that people use for the funerals and weddings and things like that. And when they got here, I said, "Get 80 for me." He said, "No, got 113. It's getting to be a habit."
Yeah.
So I was ready for about 80, but I didn't have room, so I had to move some stuff around to get the rest of the pigeons there, because as most of you folks know, I don't have a pigeon loft anymore. So we have them in our 4-level, 8-compartment units. I have 3 of those. Then I had to put together a couple of other cages. So I'm rambling, but what we're going to be doing is secondary to what we love the show to be, and I can see it starting already. It's all about you guys asking questions, and it seems like we're getting more and more. I don't know why people don't ask. Maybe they know everything. They've been watching the show, and there's no more questions. But anyway, we tell them how to send us questions. I know they know, but I don't know. So.
Just post your question right there on the live feed, and then we'll see it up on the screen, and then we'll answer you live.
Did I tell you we shipped some birds last week and we made a slight error?
No, you didn't.
I was out there looking. I hate to tell you, it's not out there. We did.
So I was on vacation last week.
Well, I'm not blaming anybody, but
So
we have one bird that I didn't have the heart to do away with, so it's blind in one eye, and it got its head picked bald. So I'm keeping it sort of as a pet. I'm not going to dispose of it, but we shipped a whole bunch of birds while Gina wasn't here last week, and I shipped my buddy, the blind guy, to a customer. He says, "I loved all the pigeons, but one of them, his head's all scalped and he's blind in one eye." I said, "Whoops."
I thought it happened in transit.
No.
Oh.
No, it's one that was our pet.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't even think
I'm
about
going to pay
that.
to bring it back to us. Why don't we just kind of go to the questions and go with the flow? These things are things we can talk about at any time. More importantly, we want to talk to you. So let's do that and see where we go.
First question's from ABC Loft. Is it okay to road train birds while on 3-in-1 medication?
What would your answer be?
Yes.
Yes. I see no reason. There are no antibiotics in the 3-in-1 product. The more I think about it, the only one I would question in the ingredients is the worm.
That's what I was thinking.
When you're given 3-in-1, what you're doing is if they have roundworms, if you have a history of roundworms, the way the drug works for roundworms is it actually paralyzes them. They can't do anything, they're paralyzed, just like a person would be. And then in the process of excreting the poop, the roundworms that are paralyzed are shot out or come out with their droppings. I'm trying to think it through. It's an interesting question.
You want me to see what medicine is in 3-in-1?
Doesn't matter because most 3-in-1 is a roundworm. I know it has.
Worm.
So,
Yeah.
if it were me, I'm going to rethink it and say no. No reason to, if you're training your birds and taking them down the road, there's a good chance they're healthy and don't have worms. So I guess if I had the choice, I would not do it. And you're not using a wormer, well, you're using wormers as preventative most of the time. But if you actually have worms, you wouldn't be training them anyway. So bottom line would be no. That's what I think. So ABC, I wonder what ABC Loft stands for and what strain of homers does these. Telling us a little bit about yourself is a lot of fun too. So ABC Loft, thanks. Got any questions in the future, you know how to reach us. So let's talk to, would you pronounce that Coney?
Connie.
Coney? Why not Coney?
Why not Connie?
Good point there.
I say Connie, you say Connie. Hi Connie.
Is it a male or a female?
I don't know. If I hear a slight raspy breathing, is that normal or do I have to worry about respiratory? If so, where do I start?
Hearing a little bit of raspy or even a little bit of coughing in a loft is not necessarily a health issue. So if it's 1 or 2 birds, you're usually going to hear that kind of thing in the evening. What I would do, this is kind of vacillating on this one too. I think what I would do is order a respiratory. There's one in the catalog, coughs and colds. Order a respiratory, something like Tylemox or doxycycline, Doxy-T, Doxy-Ty. I always pronounce it incorrectly. I think I'd be prepared for the worst, but not necessarily treat them with a medication. So order, if you don't have a respiratory drug, order it. There's a number of them in the catalog. I think the Doxy-Ty would probably be the best of the bunch. We could add a Spiridox. So, I think I would order a medication and be ready for it. In fact, it's sort of like what Veronica said when we were getting ready for the show, and we had thunder and lightning and rain going on, and she was preparing for the worst. No, how did you say it, Veronica? You were preparing for the
worst and hope for the best.
Yeah, she was preparing for the worst and hope for the best. That kind of fits that question, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's Connie for Cornelia, and it's a female. Thank you, Connie.
Connie is for Cornelia.
Cornelia.
Cornelia is a very unusual name. I've heard of it, but I've never met anybody. But maybe they would call Connie too.
Yeah.
fact, the West girl at the restaurant next door, her name's Cornelia.
Is it? Maybe she's Cornelia.
I'll ask
You'll
her.
have to ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what LOS stands for?
Yeah, lots of laughs.
Laughing out loud?
Oh, is that what it is?
Lots of laughs.
Lots of laughs?
Lots of laughs, lots of love.
Well, Connie, thank you so much. Contact us anytime, anywhere, any place, except don't call me before 9 or after 5. Don't call me on Saturday or Sunday. Don't email me because I don't even look at my computer much on
The
the
weekend.
weekends. No, but it's okay.
If you guys have questions during the week when we don't have a show or anytime, even if it's during a show, day or week, whatever, you can always give us a call. Any of us here, pretty much any of us here that answers the phone can answer your questions. And if we can't, we'll always give you Jerry's home phone number so you can call him. So anytime, please call us and ask questions.
Should we respond to my great-grandchildren?
I can't see it yet.
It said,
Hold on.
no.
You're not the reader, I'm the reader.
Oh, you're the reader. Why do I have the glasses? I don't need the glasses.
I don't need glasses. No, you don't. Take them off.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, so.
My grandchildren are here at the store.
Hi, Pap. It's me, Kendall and Keegan.
Hi,
Hey,
Kendall
guys.
and Keegan.
Your great grandchildren.
Did I say grandchildren?
No, I think you said great
I have over 50 if you combine grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I have over 50. And I remember their name of everyone.
And birthdays.
And birthdays.
Okay, Pigeon Lot. How long do you quarantine a bird after you get it in the mail? And what do you do when they're in quarantine? Any meds?
If the birds were perfectly healthy, not necessarily. But if you want to quarantine them, I always tell people minimum 30 days. While they're in the quarantine, I would give them something like Ultra Pro or what's the other one?
Probios?
No, Ultimate Vitamin. Yeah, Ultimate Vitamin. Something like Ultimate Vitamin. And keep an eye on them. It's especially important to check out their droppings. Now, when you get new birds in, you're not, when you get new birds in and they look perfectly healthy, watching the droppings is something you want to do. Have to understand that when you put those birds in quarantine, they're stressed. And being stressed, you're going to see some green droppings. Don't worry about it, that's normal. Within a week, by the time they settle down, that will disappear. So the most important thing is watch them. If you've been around pigeons for a while, you can look at a bird and know that it's not feeling well. So watch for that kind of thing. Pay special attention to them. And give them an ultimate vitamin. I think that would be great.
Same as bringing them back from shows, right? You should quarantine them for a period of time.
Yeah, and most people don't.
Yeah.
And most people don't have the ability or the equipment or cages and things to
Nice.
so because a lot of people will bring 50 birds to a show or 30 birds to a show, and you can't quarantine them all. So what you might want to consider, and it would not hurt, is put some amoxicillin in their water if you can't individually segregate them. Then try some amoxicillin, but don't put it in the water for 2 days. You're not doing any good at all. If you're going to do it and you want to be sure, a minimum of 5 days, 7's better, of amoxicillin. It's perfectly safe when you're breeding, has no effect on the birds at all, but it is a broad spectrum antibiotic in case the bird caught something if you're coming back from a show or a race. So not a bad idea. Now, if you're coming back from a race and you're in race season, that's a little difficult because if it's 100 or 200 miles, you might fly the same bird, both races, so you can't do it. So got to use common sense. I'm not an advocate of using antibiotics, but I know coming back from a show or a race where they've been mixed with other birds wouldn't be a bad idea to have it on hand.
Okay, back to Connie. Would,
Stands for Cornelia.
yes, I didn't.
Well, no.
Now I know. Would the use of lime be helpful in cleaning, deodorizing, disinfecting a loft? It is marketed as such for chicken coops. Helpful, harmful, or really neither, and unnecessary. We talked about lime. It's been a while.
Mhm. Lime is great for turning a grass green if you put it on your grass. The answer I would say is no. Don't take a chance with lime. I would think you'd be better off to use you can use a household disinfectant that might have chlorine in it, or we also sell a couple of products. What is the big one that comes in gallons?
Oxine.
Oxine is a real good one. So I stay away from it. Cleaning a loft is very important. Not doing it once. You've got to be consistent. So completely cleaning the loft once a month would be a great idea. Cleaning up the droppings is a good idea. And deodorizing, yeah, to me, deodorizing doesn't make a lot of sense because you can pick up all the poop and tomorrow all the poop's back down there if you deodorize. That's the smell. Did you know that?
That's it.
I just trying to help you out.
Imagine that. I did
Imagine.
not know that.
That's why it's called deodorant. You know, on your own.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thank you for
disinfecting is much more important. When it comes to deodorizing, I think you can accomplish that by putting down something called floor covering, or other people use drying agents so that when the droppings land on the floor, it absorbs the moisture and dries out the floor much quicker. Something else is the Belgian white, where you can sprinkle a clean floor. So hope I'm not wandering, but in answer to your question, I wouldn't worry about deodorizing. I would use a floor covering of Belgian white. You would use a disinfectant with something like we talked about before, something with a bleach kind of thing. Okay, what are you doing?
Nothing. Listening to you?
Yeah, but you get that, or you want to watch yourself.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Just. Anyway.
Anise, go. I'm not
So-
a reader. I don't have my
I
glasses
know.
on, you know.
So, okay. Any smart ideas of making a trap cat-proof? I've seen some traps with the box in a teeter-totter type landing area. That if the animal is too heavy, it closes the door. Anything else that may work well? We talked about this the other day.
Did we?
We did,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
because we was gonna talk about it on the show, because I think you're the one that asked me, Connie.
The best trap that you could use, if you want to do it with a trap, would be the Belgian drop trap. When you buy the Belgian drop trap, it has 3 openings, 4 openings, 5 openings, depending on the version. But it's something you've got to remember to do, because you don't do it one time, you can bet a raccoon will be in there or something if you've had those issues. The Belgian drop trap has boards, little pieces of plywood. No, I'm sorry, it's one piece of plywood, and you put it there every night and it blocks the entrance. Nothing can get in. It comes with the Belgian drop trap. Or something else you can do is have an aviary on your landing board. And the aviary is removable or is on hinges, and you push it up and hook it up. But if the aviary is on the landing board, it prevents anything from getting in. So that's an easy way to do it. Should I go on?
Yeah.
Well, then read the
Think that will
question.
suffice. She didn't even have it pulled up yet. You see what I deal with?
I'm having a good time with all these questions. This makes great.
I know.
I hope we don't talk about any of this stuff.
Before I read the next question, I'm gonna give the phone number out. So, I'm not sure if you're asking for Jerry's number or the store's number, but the store is 724-843-6889.
In my home phone number.
724-359-4939. 5355.
The reason I'm laughing is I always get it wrong, so I'm learning. The phone number is,
I had to think about it a minute too.
but, get lots and lots of calls, I enjoy it, but within time frame. But if I don't answer, it is my house, so if I don't answer, usually means, taking a nap,
And
not in the
garden,
house, I'm out cutting grass,
or the flowers.
the flower, taking care of my flower, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's before 5 or after 5 o'clock in the evening, I don't answer, I let it ring. Or it's before 9 o'clock in the morning and I don't answer because I let it ring. And when you call me, it might be a little bit confusing, but you cannot leave a message. I have caller ID, and when I see the calls, when I get home, I call you back. I don't want you to leave a message because whatever you say, I'm gonna ask you another question. So there's no sense in starting out, and trying to confuse you. When I call you back, I'll give you all the time you want. With the exception of one person.
And only call him once, because he
Yeah.
will call you back. It may not be 10 minutes or an hour, but he'll call you
It
back.
might even be tomorrow. But, well, we talked about this before. I've got as many as 10 or 15 calls from one person in one day
Yeah.
because I didn't answer the phone.
If I call him on a house phone, well, I call him on a cell phone first. If he don't answer, I call the house phone. And later at night, he'll call me back. He'll be like, "Hi, this is Jerry from Foys." What do I say? "Hi, Jerry, this is your daughter." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't recognize the number." Okay, so next question. Hi, Robert. Robert says, "I have been considering getting into raising pigeons. How concerned should I be about contracting diseases from the birds?"
Almost impossible. Almost impossible. I had pigeons now 60 years and never had any kind of an issue. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen. The only disease that I know of, I haven't got it, is long term breathing pigeon dust. So when I tell people about wasps, I always mention ventilation is so important. So if you have, I have turbines, like if I have a 20-foot wasp, I have 3 turbines in the roof. When I say a turbine, it's the thing that goes on the roof. They cut a hole in the roof. Turbine spins with the wind, although they have other kinds, and I use that one. And you need an airflow. So if you do that, certainly not a doctor, that would be the least of my concerns. There are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of pigeon people in the United States. I've never ever heard of a disease, with one exception, and it's still not a problem, pink eye. Pink eye is an infection of the eye. I know once in a while people get that, but I think if they had the proper ventilation, that wouldn't be an issue either. I would certainly not worry about
Okay. Stacy asked, "Do you find that the head molt hinders returns when training young birds?"
it. Read it again.
Do you find that the head molt hinders returns when training young birds?
I would say minimally hinders. The reason I say that, when a bird is molting, it takes a lot out of the bird because they're losing the feathers and their body is producing new feathers. And I raised birds. If a bird's in a bad molt, I would not fly it. I wouldn't train it either for long distances, maybe short distance, because the bird that is molting does not have the strength that a bird that is not molting might have.
Thank you. Sorry, I was writing myself a note. Hi, David. David asked, "Is green veggies good and how often?" Yes.
Pigeon builder, I would think, is probably the longest available vitamin on any product in the United States. We sell it, we make it, and it all comes from Claire Hetland,
Wait,
What?
what question are you answering?
Pigeon Builder.
So you weren't listening to me.
Well, I'm gonna talk to Brian.
You're not supposed to be reading.
Brian. Wait a minute, can I take it all back? Okay, go ahead.
I said from David, is green veggies good and how often?
Yes, often as you want. When you say green veggies, David, we're talking about dark green. We're not talking about lettuce. We're not talking about celery. We're talking about things like, is asparagus dark green? Dark green.
Yeah. Great.
Mine went blank.
Collard greens.
Yep, collard green. If it's a dark green, you chop it up.
Yeah.
Chop it up into small pieces. It's good for them and they do like it. The very light greens are useless, do nothing for them. Well,
you.
Brian, didn't I just talk to Brian?
I don't think you did. Hi, Brian.
Well, anyway, we make Pigeon Builder by the ton. I'm gonna go through more than a ton a year. Claire Hetland, the owner of Foys before the Gagne family, was a pharmacist. He came up with it. It's still a great product. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and how often? Did you not ask that?
No, that was the previous
I'm
question.
confused. Oh, there, Pam. Pam, I apologize. I know you sent me an email. And I haven't responded to it, other than I think Pam might have been the one that sent a picture. And I asked her the picture was blown up so that I couldn't tell it was blown up too much. So, what wormer do you recommend? Oh, darn it.
Hi, Pam. What wormer do you recommend and how often?
Read the rest of
Go
it.
ahead.
Oh,
No, it's
okay.
different.
What wormer do I recommend? The only thing I recommend is you look at the website or catalog, pick one out that is, I could use the word broad spectrum, I suppose. That's 2 words, isn't it? Broad spectrum. Any of them will work. I would use something that gets a lot of worm. If you have absolutely no reason to worm them other than you want to make sure you don't get them, I would use something from a preventative standpoint, like 3-in-1. It treats canker, coccidiosis, and worms. It's not an antibiotic. They're less likely to resist it. So 3-in-1. What's the other one I'm trying to think of?
Within something
Yeah,
or by itself?
the one that, hold on. That's good. 3-in-1 is a good one, but there's a wormer that, avio gel. If you don't have a lot of birds, not avio gel, what is it?
Oh, I was gonna say, a tablet you're talking about?
No, the liquid, the one that makes into a paste you pump down 24 times.
Oh, Farm, warm out gel.
Yeah, worm out gel. Worm out gel is probably the best you're gonna buy, but it isn't as big a seller as it should be because it takes you a little bit of work. If you have a small flock, for instance, if you want to put the gel in the drinking water, which is where it's supposed to go, you pump down 24 times for a gallon of water. Right? So it takes a little bit of time, then you mix it up, but it gets them all, it cleans them all out. And while we're talking about worm, when you worm, Pam, or if other people are watching, always clean the floor the next day. Because going back, I mentioned roundworm. Roundworms are not killed. They can't be because if it was killed inside a bird, the bird could die. But it's excreted and they're paralyzed, and then within an hour or 2 they come back to life. Or maybe so the next morning after worming, every day you worm, the next day scrape the floor as dry as you can, or if you're using granules, try to use a fork or something to get the big lumps out.
second part of our question. In the video, you showed a disc of minerals, I believe. Can you tell me what it was or what else besides grit do they need?
I think the disc word is dish. I was suggesting
Dish,
a
sorry.
small container, like our pick pots, or the little pick pots, and we have them from two companies, don't we? The little pick pots or pick stones, that's what I was trying to think too. I'm sure that's what we're talking about.
Maybe.
But Pam and I have been communicating on a regular basis. So it would have been pick pots or pick stones. They have trace minerals and things that are not in your grit. So I always suggest to put a little pot out, and they'll eat it when it's
Yes.
done. Refill it, keep it fresh as you can. Don't leave the same stuff out. Pigeons are like little kids. They're gonna eat what they like, and when you're doing it like a cafeteria feeder, they're gonna eat what they want, what they don't want. With a pick pot, pick stone, same thing. So try to freshen it up every day or replace them every day. One thing about the little pick pots, I think I mentioned before, is they come with a little container, the pick pots, and you can reuse them on a regular basis. So take the pick pot when they eat everything out of it, and if buy a pick stone at the same time, and a pick stone, you crumble it up, and it'll fill 2 or 3 pick pots.
Okay, next question from Josh. Why do you think my birds don't want to gain weight, and if so, how often should I worm them?
Well, worming them and weight gain have nothing to do with it. But worming them can, if you have worms, it's going to make them lose weight. But if you can get rid of the worms, just the natural process is going to make them gain weight. In fact, we haven't got to it. I'm so happy we haven't, because it means people like Josh are asking questions and teaching other people at the same time. So if you think you have worms, worm them with a wormer. If you're not sure, worm them with 3-in-1. It's repetitive, but tomorrow, if you worm them today, tomorrow you're going to clean your floor. Now, when it comes to gaining weight, I've told this story on the show before. Quite a few years ago, I got a call from a university, and they wanted, I forget the number, let's call it 12. No, this was before University of Georgia.
Oh, I thought it was 60.
Many years ago, somebody called me, and the birds had to weigh 1 pound. I don't know why, but he said the birds have to weigh as close to 1 pound as possible. And that average racing over weighs 13 to 14 ounces. Pounds is 16 ounces. So what I did is I put those birds, I quarantined the birds, I put them in a quarantine cage, and I fed them raw peanuts, like all crumbled up raw peanuts. And they were, after about a week, they were little butterballs. I mean, they were fat. And that's what they wanted. So if you want a bird to gain weight, go to the health food store or PetSmart or something like that, or somewhere that sells bird feed for cage bird animals like parrots and things, or buy peanuts and break them up if you have to with a hammer or something. But one of the things about peanuts, if you want them to gain weight, don't feed them anything else. The first day, they won't touch those peanuts. They're strange, they don't know what they're all about, and they leave them alone. By tomorrow, if they don't eat, and whatever they don't eat, you've heard me say this so many times, I take it out, I don't leave it in overnight. Then in the morning, I put the same thing right back in front of them without adding anything to it. By the third day, they love those peanuts because they're hungry and that's all they're getting. But you'll find in a very short period of time, they'll eat the peanuts first. It's the strangeness of it, maybe the odor, I'm not sure. So if you want them to gain weight, a quick way is peanuts. In fact, it was one of the first things we were going to talk about when we're talking about gaining weight. That's so easy to do. Another thing you might want to do, if you're feeding grains and not a pellet, sprinkle just a few drops of anise oil on it. In fact, this is anise here. Pigeons love the smell of it. So if you don't want put a whole bunch of it, sprinkle it over lightly, and maybe stir it up a little bit, so it adheres to the grain. They love the smell of that, so if you add any, like almost any seed, they'll eat more and they'll naturally gain weight.
So could his birds possibly be sick if they're not gaining weight?
Possibly. It's a good question. Josh, why do you ask the question?
I asked.
You know, but why is he asking the question? I guess.
Oh, okay.
So, Josh, send us another note and tell me why you want your bird to gain weight. With racing pigeons, I'm not sure whether Josh has them or not. The racing pigeon people do everything they can to keep a lot of body fat from their pigeons. They don't want fat pigeons. Just like be a fat person trying to run in a race, chances are you're going to look good at the beginning. At the end, they're huffing and puffing. Well, a fat pigeon's the same way. So they don't want them skinny, but they don't want them fat. It's somewhere in between. So they don't intentionally feed their birds, racing pigeon people. They don't intentionally fatten their birds for the race season. They want to keep them at a normal, sort of my physique, you know, just about
And not
perfect.
mine.
I'm not going there, Gina.
You went there last time we talked about this. And he heard about it.
I thought I was a fool, but it was my sister, not me. All right.
So, if ever when he is answering one of your questions and it doesn't completely answer the question like you thought it would, or like maybe you asked the question wrong or something, you can always call after the show and send another question or call him and he can talk to you on the phone about it.
That's a very good point. Me mostly, read a question or hear a question and don't necessarily take it the right way.
Right.
So like I did earlier. If you want to send another note right back in, you can do that. No harm. You can, like Pam Fulmer, send in 3 or 4 questions, 5 questions, which is great, especially from beginners, because when you're doing that, you're teaching other people. Let's talk about something that we're working on.
Okay. Which one?
The catalog.
Oh.
And I'm not finding fault, but a certain individual who made the catalog, success does not spell SSUSS. Not my job. One of the things I do is proof the catalog, and no matter how hard we try, I proof it, Veronica proofs it, Kim looks at it, Sherry looks at it, you look at it, but we put mistakes in the catalog intentionally, okay? Just so we'd like to know if people are reading everything, and every once in a while somebody will call and say, found a mistake in the catalog.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we're working on a catalog. It's not available yet, but we're shooting for October. And I've told you that
It will be ready for the Louisville show.
But it literally takes us a year to.
It will.
The day we mail out that catalog, we're already starting on the next catalog because people start calling and telling us maybe the mistakes we made, and we start working on the next catalog. But I think it's going to be the best catalog we've ever had.
Not only that, but things change a lot. We get new product, we drop old stuff discontinued, and
Yep.
So it's a task.
So the catalog will be in excess of 100 pages, and we still put tip after tip after tip. That's one of the things a lot of people do compliment us on our catalog. When you think of a catalog, it's full of stuff that you're trying to sell. Well, ours is full of stuff that we want to sell.
Information.
But almost every page has a little bit of a tip or information or thoughts that maybe you never really thought about. So,
As I said before, he writes like he talks. A lot.
well, today when I was working on the catalog, one of the notes I wrote to Veronica was, break down this sentence Anybody you want to. Because I think one sentence was a paragraph and a half. Like, when I talk, I have to take a deep breath.
I know.
Get me talking.
When I proved yourself, I'm like, good gracious, what was he thinking? Writes like he talks.
Yeah, been that way all my life, and just
Good
gotta learn to
continue.
use periods and capitals and things like that, and commas. What are you smirking
Okay.
about over there?
Why don't we talk about elderberry juice?
Okay, go ahead.
The benefits of it. I take elderberry tablet every day. It's good for your immune system. Period.
Elderberry juice, let me find it in my catalog. I
It's
know I can
on
talk.
page 72.
Wow. 72.
I used to drink this. It's not the greatest tasting thing, but yeah, I got used to it. But this bottle doesn't go a long way for us because I drink an ounce a day. So I went to the gummies, but I can't do the texture of the gummies, so I do the capsules. Okay, go ahead.
What does elderberry juice have anything to do with you talking about elderberry capsules and that?
You didn't pay attention to me. I started with the elderberry juice. I used to drink it every day.
Mhm.
And then I went to the gummies, and now I take the capsules.
All kidding aside, elderberry juice became a pigeon product when we started to get the adenovirus breakout in pigeons. And as you know, there is no treatment for a virus, including the adenovirus. So this is, you don't think of this as a medicine. And it's something, if you want to do it, you've got to do it on a regular basis. It's long term. And what it does is strengthens the immune system. The stronger your immune system is, true of humans, but in pigeons, the less disease you're going to have. So preventative makes so much more sense when we talk about pigeons. We talk about it all the time. Preventative is so much better than treatment, because treatment uses antibiotics. Of course, elderberry juice is 100% organic. It's something that you would add to the drinking water, but 2-3 times a week, and it can be mixed with vitamins and supplements and probiotics and things like that. But it's a good. You can also pour it on the feed, but I think you get more waste. So elderberry juice, great product, and humans use it all the time. What they're trying to do is build up their immune system so they don't get sick. Doesn't that make sense? Do things so you don't get sick. It makes just as much sense to do things so that your pigeons don't get sick.
And the reason I started taking it was, when was the last show season we had? 2019?
Mhm.
Was it?
Mhm.
Anyways, yeah. So last show, I get sick every show I go to. So when we got this product, and I was researching it a little bit when we started selling it, and this is human grade, so we can drink this one. So I thought, why not try it? And so that year, I didn't get sick one time going to the show. So, but I'm just weird about certain things, and like
You're weird about a lot of things.
I know. I would take it for 3 weeks and take a week to 10 days off. I don't know why, so hence the reason I got COVID.
Did
So
you get
now
COVID? I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Lost your smell and lost your taste.
Still, yeah.
Still lost it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
We still don't have it.
yeah, I still have the antibodies in me. I was just tested, so still can't taste or smell or whatever.
The other thing with elderberry juice is it also is a aid in preventing and also helping birds get through a respiratory issue. So it serves multi-purpose. So,
Yeah.
But can't press you more. One day, 1 week is not it. It's long term. I was reading some information from what's the man in Norway to make the products that we buy.
Freud?
Yes.
Freud.
And he says basically the same thing. If you do it consistently, it'll serve its purpose. Antibiotics, for instance, if you give an antibiotic for 2 days and stop, you wasted your money. Because when you give antibiotics, the immune system goes to war against the antibiotic. So it takes 2 or 3 days for the antibiotic to actually serve a purpose. So one of the things I've done, and Veronica, you're going to have to go back and see if it's in the rest of the beginning of the catalog. But a lot of our directions tell you 5 to 7 days. I'm changing that. No more 5 to 7. 7. Because 5 long-term, all people and animals are much more resistant to antibiotics. So I'm on some very professional advice. It makes more sense to go 7. If it's going 2 or 3 days, then
Why aren't they coming through?
Go ahead. It's for the show.
well,
Go ahead.
anyway, 7 days will be. If a medicine is 2 to 3 days, then I dropped the 2, made it a 3. Okay. Where's all the questions? What happened?
You want me to just read them from here?
Yeah, this is not.
Oh, okay. We're having a problem? No, I'm the problem.
Yeah, no. Okay, Connie has another question. If I add the all-in-one Versalogo mineral mix product to the Redstone Versalogo grit, do I need anything else for good health, like pig pots?
Yes. Pick pots, pick stones, including what you're doing. There are things in pick stone that are good for pigeons that aren't in the other two mixes. But don't go overboard. It's not a necessity. There are benefits to the pick stone, but not a necessity. If you're giving them grit, you don't have to go that far. But I guess what I'm saying is you seem to be a very concerned person wanting to do the right thing. But in doing the right thing, sometimes you're doing more than you actually have to. So just use common sense, which you have been doing. The first 2 products, fine, you don't need to pick stone.
Okay. Josh is back. He said my racers are really skinny, and even with the fatty mix, they won't gain weight.
Well, Josh, I'm assuming they're very skinny or thin, and yet they must be performing, or you wouldn't be racing them, because usually a sign of a sick bird is one that loses weight. So what I would suggest you do, go to peanut rub. If you want them to gain weight and not really get fat, put some peanuts in with the mix that you have. Break them up. And, although you'll find that they can eat a half shell of a half a peanut and without any problem, because that's actually smaller than some of the corn kernels. So if you want to try something and if you're not real happy, try to crush peanuts for a few days. You don't want to get them too fat if you're racing them. So it's a balance that you have to find. So if the birds look perfectly healthy, if the droppings look 100% normal, then use something like, not light, but try the peanuts to be inexpensive. You can find them anywhere. And people that buy them sometimes put them in the freezer so that they keep their potency. Just something to think of. No more questions? Colin.
Well, Phil gave us a comment. He said the Spanish peanuts are good because they are smaller, easier for them to eat. And that's the kind we used to sell, Spanish peanuts.
Who's that? Who did?
Phil Hubis.
Thank you very much.
Somebody asked what that string was. We'll just hide it. It's
Oh.
just part of the hat.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was wearing it wrong. That
No,
better?
you weren't. You was wearing it right. I just hid them.
All right. Once again, the people that are watching, I still have some really, really good breeder pairs of racing homers. If you're looking for some really top quality, I have them in from John Erdott, we talked about him before, and a lot of them are gone out. And I've got some birds from Heber Nelson from Ohio. Not unusual to see Heber win a race 1, 2, 3, 4. There's his bird, boom, 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 boom. They come in groups. So if you're looking for some good racing homers, when I say good racing homers, I'm talking about race quality. I'm glad to help you out. We also have colored homers. Colored homers are really racing pigeons, and some of them would do very well. But when you talk about colored racing homers, what you've got to do is go through a whole bunch of them to find some good ones. When you buy good quality racing homers from racing parents, then you don't have to go through that whole process.
Thank you, Blondo, for the comment.
My golly, we've got 6 more minutes.
I know, we talked about, well, you talked about anise oil a little bit.
Well, we were going to talk a little bit about treats. Treats are part of the methodology of training your birds to do what you want. And it's just like a dog, when you're training a dog, you give it a treat every time it does something right. I use that on all my kids, you know. And, you know, when they did something right, I gave them a treat. Like an ice cream cone or something, pat them on the head. So anyway, we sell a product. It's a big bag of it. This is 10 pounds. We sell them in 50-pound bags. But this is not the food you're putting in front of them all the time. It's not a everyday feed. It's a treat. So sometimes when you're training, we talked about blowing a whistle or talking to your birds. If you want to treat them for coming home quickly after a race or during a training period, put just a handful in the feeder, empty the feeder, and put some pigeon candy in it, and you'll find that they get used to the idea that they're going to be rewarded for coming in. So treats are important. Anise oil is not a treat, but anise oil drives your pigeons crazy. They just love it. So you can sprinkle a little bit on that, on that too when they're coming back from a race. So treating your birds very, very important, and we've talked about it before. Candy is the way to go. There are other No.
We were talking about anise.
We're back on? Okay. We apologize. We told you at the beginning of the show, it's storming, and of course this has happened to us before. We don't know why. There's a gremlin. I think it's seagulls. One of our competitors, they hired these people to go in and interrupt the program. Well, it's either them or well, maybe it's that guy out in Florida. What's his name? Jed.
Anyways, they're not in Florida.
California. Just kidding, just kidding.
Okay, you was talking about anise. I don't know if you finished.
I'm pretty much finished. Yeah, whole idea. If you want to attract them, or if you want them to do something, you're not going to use candy. A couple of drops of this is sort of a reward too. I think it's like humans sniffing cocaine. You sniff a little powder. You know, well, with pigeons, they might just sniff a little of anise, and they'll get all excited. You didn't like that one.
I hear you. I'm listening.
One half. Sometimes you feel like it not. I always do.
I'm sure.
I just love life, having a lot of fun, and this strokes my ego a little bit. You know? We got 3 more minutes. What are we gonna talk
We had a
about?
customer in today that he's talked to you on the phone in the past and he wanted to meet you, but you were over at lunch with the 2 young kids that came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he meet me?
No,
he left.
you didn't come back in time. Yeah, he left. So, yeah. So, if you guys have any suggestions on what you would like us to do a show on, a product you'd like to see, anything, just let us know. Contact me or Jerry, and let us know. You can send us an email or let us know on the live, and we'll be more than happy to show you any product you want to see or talk about anything you want us to talk about.
And some of the products that we have in our catalog come as a direct result of customers asking us what they can do for this or that, or when we come up with a product or an idea. An example would be I know. We sell a 4-compartment cage unit. In fact, I'm using 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think since maybe at least we've been selling over 10 years more, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I use them all the time. I love them, but the worst thing about them is the feeder cups and the water cups that come with them. The birds throw the feed all over the place. And finally, and I'm so proud of myself, I finally figured out something to stop it last week. And guess where the answer was? In our own catalog. I had never thought of it. We sell a cup, an oval-sized scoop cup. And I put it in there, and the way this scoop cup is made, it top curves over all the way around. So I tried them in one, and I went back the next day, no feed wasted at all. So it was lightning bolt from one of my customers. Hey, Adam.
Adam was here today.
Oh, that's right. It was Adam with the date, his
Yeah.
son. Yeah.
So Adam said, I just got home. Jerry is all settled in. You made a little boy's day. So Adam came to pick up some product that he had ordered. And he had his son, or a little boy with him. I don't know if it was his son,
I
but
think it was.
D. And Jerry gave him a pigeon. And D names his pigeons. So we asked him what he was going to name his pigeon. And he was thinking, and Jerry said, I know a good name. How about Jerry?
He nodded his head. But you know, I like kids.
Yeah. Okay, Connie, sorry, one last question. Yes, got my first birds yesterday. Like I see it advertised for chicken coops, to clean deodorized coops. Would that be a good idea or waste of time?
Wouldn't be a waste of time if you're cleaning and deodorizing your coop. No reason why that wouldn't do a good job. No reason at all.
Yep.
So long for a while. We gotta go.
So if you need to place an order, you can give us a call.
Mhm.
If you have any questions about your birds, whether it's health, products, feed, anything, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to walk you through anything, talk you through anything, and help you out any way we can.
You know, not patting us on the back, but when people call and they're using a medicine that might be a little bit more complicated, they'll call me at home, and or I tell them, if you have any questions, call me. They call me about how to administer drugs, something they don't understand. We're full service, like the gas station. If you have a need, my golly, we're going to do our very, very best to help you. That's like the catalog. Our catalog is, this one's 120 pages, something like that.
Something like that.
122 pages. But anyway, I'll bet you 1/3 of the pages are not products. It's information for you. So we just think that's what we should offer you. Connie, been a pleasure. You have something else?
And like I always say, if you don't have a catalog, if you just order online, please get a catalog. There's so much information in there. Jerry always is offering tips and always puts a lot of tips and
You
stuff
can't
in
put
the
them all in a
catalog.
catalog.
Right.
But we try to put as many as we can, but you're saying they're not on all of them are not.
No, I'm saying a lot of people don't like a catalog, they like to order online. But
Mhm.
if you don't have a catalog, get one. Because every catalog is different. And they all have different tips in them.
Mhm.
So yeah,
We made it through.
yes we did.
You know what I'm thinking? Next show,
So,
I'd like a little dish here of hard candy.
okay.
Because you always say it always, you know, you can tell I have a sweet tooth because I'm sucking on my hard candy. When I
He's
chew.
loud. That's how he sounds. That's why we don't give him no hard candy when we travel, no lollipops. So, once again, any questions, give us a call, shoot us an email. Next show is July 30th, right, Veronica?
Mhm.
July 30th. So until then, have a great weekend, have a great next couple of weeks.